Hi, it's Kozue. In the previous video, I made this design using Bon Pretty's gel and liquid. This liquid creates tiny holes as it dries, giving the perfect summery wave texture, but the color payoff is so strong that it gets a bit thick. So, thanks to a viewer's idea, I'm going to try thinning it with ethanol. I'll test it with both gel nails and regular polish. I'm using disinfecting ethanol, not 100%. I keep it in a little spray bottle like this. First, I'm testing what happens when you mix the ethanol and the liquid on the silicone mat. It doesn't really dissolve. What do you call this? Separation? No, not exactly separation either. It's more like they refuse to mix more than necessary. Now I'm applying Bon Pretty's cat eye gel called Blue Diamond. I paint it intentionally wavy and uneven. Then I use a magnet to sink all the particles. Going in with the second layer, I made the center area look all soft and hazy. I'm using Bon Pretty's Ocean Wave watercolor liquid. You can use this over a tacky layer of gel or even on completely uncured gel. Either way, to make sure the gel underneath cures properly, I recommend curing your top coat a bit longer than usual after applying the liquid. First, I applied it as is. Around here, you can see a few tiny holes forming. And now, ethanol. Go! Wait, if you do this on your natural nails, the ethanol that lands on the gel can run onto your skin and that could trigger allergies. It's much safer to pick up the ethanol with a brush and place it on the nail instead. Adding the liquid. Oh, it actually went on thinner this time. Is it thanks to the ethanol, or is it just my legendary technique? Hard to say. Now I'm going to mix liquid and ethanol together on the silicone mat and try applying that. What is this? There's almost no color at all. This liquid might have dried out too much. I tried drawing some rough, stormy waves using liquid straight from the bottle. This liquid looks exactly like the white part of yuki no yado, that classic Japanese snack. And right when I thought, okay, that's enough, it suddenly turned all hokusai-like. I'll set it with a top coat to finish. It's not bad at all, but honestly, couldn't tell whether the ethanol made a real difference, so I tried it again. First, I applied the liquid straight. This time, instead of spraying ethanol directly onto the nail, I sprayed it onto the silicone mat and picked it up with a brush. And wow, that was too much ethanol, blotting it with a paper towel now. So I applied the liquid, hoping it would spread softly and give that airy, uneven look. But wow, this is harder than I thought. Even with a toothpick, it still turns into yuki no yado. Trying it again. First, I applied the liquid straight. I left about a 1 mm gap around the sides and the tip. If you paint all the way to the edges, it will start lifting from there. Then I let the liquid dry. I sprayed a bit of ethanol, placed a generous amount of liquid, scoop it with a brush, and tap it onto the nail. Oh, this really looks like wave spray now. I'm finally getting a feel for how this liquid behaves. As time passes, it starts to solidify whether there's ethanol or not. Makes sense now. When you mix it with ethanol, you really have to work fast. Otherwise, it turned straight into yuki no yado. Also, when it's mixed with ethanol, those tiny holes don't appear. Now I'll apply the top coat and cure it. It ended up looking less like the ocean and more like the stratosphere. You know, that thing you always see in weather forecasts. You could recreate this with a highly pigmented white gel, but if you want those random tiny holes or a really bold bright white, the liquid is definitely more useful. Next, I'm going to try it with polish. I applied the base coat on the nail tip and let it dry. Then added the polish I got from Kozue. Since this one has really strong pigmentation, I'm keeping it to just one coat. Once the polish dried, I applied the liquid. It created a few tiny holes, and it really seems like the more generously you apply it, the easier those holes appear. But if you use too much, it starts dripping, so finding that sweet spot is important. I was planning to use ethanol with polish too, but while I was applying it, I changed my mind. I realized the liquid and the polish actually dissolve each other. Looking at the ingredients, it makes sense. It contains ethyl acetate, the same solvent used in nail polish remover, and the other components also seem to soften polish. The liquid didn't smell volatile at all during application, but when I brought my nose close, it definitely had that solvent smell. So when you use this liquid over polish, you really have to touch it very gently. If you poke it too much, it melts the blue polish underneath. And actually, because of that melting behavior, you don't need to thin it with ethanol at all. I'll use a top coat to melt and shape the waves. The brush picked up some blue polish. I waited about 2 minutes for the liquid to dry, then applied the top coat. The bottle is pitch black. It's the old version of OPI Infinite Shine. First, I brush it on very gently. Then I went back and worked on the areas I wanted to blur. I picked up fresh top coat on the brush and tapped the surface to create the pattern. The brush picked up the faint bit of blue, so I scrubbed it on the silicone mat and put it back in the bottle. After letting dry for about 10 minutes, I applied another layer of top coat. All done! The tiny holes have basically vanished, but the wave texture looks great. I actually like it this way. It's really hard to get this level of bright, crisp white with even a high pigmented white polish, so the liquid is super helpful. And the fact that it dries faster than regular polish is definitely a plus. The left and the middle ones are the gel versions, and the one on the right is the polished version. I made a bunch of nail tips, including some that ended up being scrap, so now I'm not even sure what the correct answer is anymore. But in the end, here's a conclusion. With the Ocean Wave watercolor liquid, you can create both shoreline wave nails and stratosphere nails, and the holes stay pretty subtle. If you have any ideas for other designs this liquid could work with, let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video. Bye!